Let me read to you a passage from the 8th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 28 to 34. It's the Gospel for Wednesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, "When Jesus arrived at the other side in the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men, coming from the tombs, met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. 'What do you want with us, Son of God?' they shouted. 'Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?' Some distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged Jesus, 'If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs.' He said to them, 'Go.' So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the town, and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region." That's from Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 to 34. What does it suggest to us? Well, there is one point of comparison between the Old and New Testaments which is interesting. It is the degree to which Satan features in each. Apart from the beginning of Genesis and the book of Job and, say, the book of Zechariah, consider how rarely Satan is a formal player in the Old Testament books. He appears in Genesis chapter 3, when God places the man and the woman in the garden with the command not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He dialogues briefly with the woman and successfully tempts her to turn from God, and then, through her, he ensnares the man. He also tempts Job through adversity to give up on God, but this time without success. Job is faithful. Satan appears in the book of Zechariah the prophet, standing at the right of the high priest as his adversary. Chapter 3, verse 1. Now, apart from these instances, one could, I think, count on one's hand the times Satan gets a mention in the Old Testament. There is more evidence of the angels in the Old Testament than of the demons. In the New, and in particular in the Gospels, the case is very different indeed. Satan and the demons are revealed and are shown to be out in force against the Son of God. At the Last Supper, Christ refers to Satan as the prince of this world, and he tells his disciples that he, this prince, is coming. He is coming to end the life of the Messiah. We also have accounts of conversations between Christ and Satan and his minions. The first such was at the threshold of our Lord's public ministry in the desert, and Satan was bundled off repulsed. He was shown that he had no hold on this man, Jesus. Here in our Gospel today, we have a meeting between Christ and some lesser, though still powerful, demons. The encounter is instructive. Firstly, the demons are shown to be very strong once they have gained a footing, and their strength is violent. It's a violent strength. No one could pass the way of the possessed men, no one. But the tables turn immediately at the arrival of Christ. Let us consider the conversation that ensues. The demons appear to be aware of who Jesus really is. Word is everywhere in the demonic world about this man, and they have, as we might say, put 2 and 2 together. Their consensus is that this is the Son of God. They know it and they tremble. Jesus arrives on the scene, and the demons who have mastery over the 2 men immediately show a mixture of bravado and deep worry. You know, it has been said that the reason why a dog barks is that it is nervous. Well, notice how the demons bark at Christ. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" Their situation is hopeless before this man. They know immediately that their time is up in his presence. The only question is, when is it to be? Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time? Notice that they use the verb torture. Have you come here to torture us, and to torture us before the appointed time? Perhaps they were baiting Christ and twisting the situation to accuse him of being cruel, with the emphasis on the word torture. They know that when the appointed time comes, all torture will be the result of their own doing. It will not be just torture, but natural punishment for their chosen course of opposition to God. God does not torture his creatures. The free rejection of him, of which the demons are guilty, results in the profound self-inflicted torture of hell. This opening salvo from the demons shows their hateful and implacable blindness. But at the same time, they plead with Christ not to send them away. They fear the deep abyss. It is a plea for consideration, and Christ accords it. They are allowed to go into the pigs. It perhaps indicates that God shows a degree of mercy even to the damned. Their punishment, though eternal, may in some sense be open to some mitigation, at least before the appointed time, possibly even after it. Hell is real, and it is final, it is eternal, but we are not told the precise degree of punishment. The words of the demons indicate that they know there is an appointed time when all will be settled. The good will be rewarded and the bad punished. All struggle will be over. We are in the time of struggle, the time when Christ took on the grand prince and defeated him. This putrid prince knows his days are numbered, but he wishes to take down with him all he can. And Christ is just as determined not to lose any of those whom he has been given. Let us join with Christ in the battle, the daily battle. We are with the strong one, the one who has already won. So let us be at our work with sword in hand and with Christ before us. The sword is the cross of obedience and suffering, and our shield is Christ himself. By means of the cross, the Redeemer won the victory. There must be no quarter given to sin and to self. There are souls to be saved, beginning with our own, and then those of all mankind. To the work then. Now I begin